My name is Daniel Cho. I'm 32 years old, and 5 years ago, I walked away from my family and never looked back. Not out of spite, out of necessity. I live in a one-bedroom walk-up in Chicago now. It's small, sterile, and smells faintly like old radiator steam and takeout containers. But it's mine. Every square inch of it paid for by late nights, missed weekends, and lines of code I bled into existence. By day, I'm a senior architect at one of the top cybersecurity firms on the East Coast. Not to brag, but when the government system got hit with that zero-day exploit last spring, guess who they called? Yeah, that was me. When everyone panicked, I built the patch that saved millions. But to my family, I'm still the screw-up who never came out of his room. They hadn't heard from me since 2018. Until 2 months ago. I was eating alone. Again. Ramen, sesame oil, a soft-boiled egg. My usual comfort meal. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. But something made me swipe. Daniel? It's Olivia. My cousin. The only one who hadn't blocked me on social media. Your mom's been trying to find you, she said, her voice cautious like she was afraid I'd hang up. They want you home for Christmas. I didn't respond. Just sat there, chopsticks hovering in midair. She added quickly, they're serious this time. Your dad asked about your job. Your brother even mentioned you. They're trying. Now, I finally said, after all this time, they miss you. I almost laughed. But the part that twisted the knife wasn't the call itself. It was the fact that for a split second, a small, dumb part of me wanted to believe her. See, I didn't just leave home. I was pushed. Growing up in Dayton, Ohio, I was always the quiet one. My brother Michael was the golden child, varsity basketball, homecoming king, prom date to 3 different girls in 1 year. He was everything I wasn't. Loud, charismatic, magnetic. Me? I liked books. I liked silence. I liked building computers from salvage bins. When Michael turned 16, my dad gave him a custom-painted Mustang. When I turned 16, I got handed a rake and told to clear the backyard. That was my gift, some character-building time. It was always like that. Christmas mornings were a war zone of wrapping paper and sparkle for Michael. For me, a gift card if they remembered. Sometimes not even that. But the moment that sealed it? Thanksgiving 2016. The table was full, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles. My father raised a toast. To Michael, our future surgeon. Full ride to Duke. We couldn't be prouder. Everyone cheered. Then Mom chimed in, smiling. And as for Daniel, we hope he finds something stable soon. Laughter. Real laughter. My uncle even shouted, we're hiring part-time cashiers down at the store. I just sat there. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I had already signed my offer letter 2 weeks earlier, full tuition, housing, and a stipend at one of the best engineering schools in the country. But I didn't say a word. Why? Because if you have to beg people to see your worth, they never will. 2 weeks later, I was gone. I took a red-eye to Chicago, found a one-bedroom with moldy baseboards and a leaking sink, and started over. I took out loans, worked 18-hour days, built apps, wrote scripts, and clawed my way up. And now? They want me back. It was Olivia who pushed me again. Just think about it, she said. Maybe it's different now. So, I did. For 2 months, I thought about it. Then I said yes. But not because I missed them. Not because I forgave them. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't anger. It's arrival. Let them see what they threw away. Let them sit in the discomfort of watching someone they dismiss become everything they're not. So I bought a plane ticket. Christmas Eve arrival. Direct flight, no layovers. I didn't tell anyone I was coming, except Olivia. And I brought one very special gift with me. Not for them. For me. Something no one in that house would ever forget. When I arrived at my parents' house on Christmas Eve, everything looked painfully familiar. Same peeling vinyl on the porch. Same blinking lights, half dead. And my mom, opening the door with that practiced smile she usually reserved for people she hated but had to tolerate. Daniel, she beamed, throwing her arms around me. Her perfume was so overpowering I nearly gagged. We're so happy to see you. Lies. Smooth, reflexive, well-rehearsed. Inside the living room, it was a suburban Christmas postcard. Tree with a glowing star. Mountains of wrapped gifts piled beneath it. Dad lounged in his recliner with a steaming mug of mulled wine, while Michael, my older brother, held court, telling some over-the-top story to a rapt audience of uncles. His wife, Samantha, flashed her brand-new iPhone like it was a trophy. No one acknowledged me. Not really. A few nods. No questions. No hugs. It was like I was just part of the furniture again. Like I had never left. Like I had never mattered. Dinner was fine. Turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy. The same cranberry sauce from a can. I was quiet, calculated. Watching everything. Waiting. And then, dessert came, and with it, the moment that I'd never forget. Mom stood up dramatically, as if the Oscars music had just cued her to make a speech. "Let's open gifts," she said, and suddenly the living room turned into a frenzy of crinkling paper and fake gratitude. "Michael, here's your new watch from Dad and me. Samantha, sweetie, we got you those AirPods you wanted, and a spa certificate. Olivia, darling, here's a little something from us to you. And for the kids, oh my goodness, look at these toys." Laughter. Shrieks. Thank yous. Kisses. I just sat on the couch, sipping tea. Steady. Silent. Eventually, the gifts ran out. Wrapping paper everywhere. Kids ecstatic. Adults glowing with self-satisfaction. And then Mom looked around, feigning confusion. "Oh, Daniel," she gasped with mock surprise. "We must have forgotten you." The room chuckled. She actually winked. Things got so busy. You know how it is. Michael leaned back with that same smug grin I'd seen since high school. "Come on, man, you're a grown-up now. Thought you didn't need stuff anymore." I put down my teacup slowly. Let the moment hang in the air. They were expecting awkward silence. Maybe a tantrum. Maybe me slipping into the shadows like I always had. But I smiled. "It's okay," I said, calm as a monk. I got myself something. I reached down and pulled out a small black box I'd tucked under the chair. Set it on the coffee table. "Want to see?" For the first time that evening, the room went completely still. Even the kids fell silent. My mom froze mid-sip. Dad put down his mug. Michael's grin faltered just a little. I opened the box slowly. Inside was a folder with a sleek silver logo embossed on the front. I took out the document and held it up. Large bold letters. Official purchase agreement. 17% equity stake in CyberVault Incorporated. Signed by 3 venture capitalists. And a 4th signature from Meta. "That's the startup I've been building the last 3 years," I said. "Last week, they bought us out. 8-figure deal." Dead. Silence. Mom blinked like her brain short-circuited. Michael looked like someone had just sucker punched him. Dad adjusted in his seat, suddenly a whole lot more interested. "So, yeah," I added, slipping the paper back into the folder. "Thanks for forgetting me tonight. Honestly, if you hadn't treated me like I was invisible all these years, I might have never built this." Olivia stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Everyone else? Just stunned silence. Because what can you say when the person you wrote off, ignored, and laughed at shows up more successful than all of you combined? I smiled. "It's been a great evening. But if you'll excuse me, my lawyer sent me a little Christmas surprise, and I'd hate to keep him waiting." The rest of the night was awkward silence, fake smiles, and glances that burned. I could feel it. The mood had flipped. Suddenly, I wasn't invisible. I was a threat. Michael tried to act unfazed. He poured more wine, joked louder, but his voice cracked. Samantha avoided my eyes completely. Mom, though, she couldn't help herself. She followed me into the kitchen while I rinsed my cup. "Daniel, you could have told us. We would have celebrated." I didn't turn around. "Would you?" She fumbled for words. "Of course. We're family." That word meant nothing to me coming from her. Then Dad stepped in. "Your mother's right. Look, son, now that things are better, maybe we can reconnect." I stared at him. The man who never came to a single school event, who told me coding was a waste of time. Now he wanted to talk. "I think I'm good," I said. They didn't expect that. Dad stiffened. Mom's voice turned sharp. "You're still part of this family, Daniel. Don't forget that." I smiled. Actually, I did forget. And life got a lot better. I left the kitchen. Michael stood near the fireplace, arms crossed. "So you're rich now. Congrats. Doesn't mean you're better than us." "Never said I was." "You did." He scoffed. "Don't come in here acting like some savior. You ran away." I stepped closer. "No. I escaped. And if you think I'm here to impress you, you're wrong." He looked at me like I was someone entirely new. And he wasn't wrong. For the first time, I wasn't the background character in their story. I had my own. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a walk. Needed air. Needed space. Their house still smelled like cinnamon and expectations. When I came back, breakfast was already set. Not for me, just for them. I wasn't surprised. I poured my own coffee. Sat at the table without a word. Michael cleared his throat. Hey, man, we've been talking. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. Samantha chimed in. Your success. It's inspiring. We're proud. Fake smiles. Too smooth. Then came the real reason. You know, Mom started, your brothers had a tough year. Mortgage, kids, medical bills. We thought, maybe you could help. There it was. Michael leaned forward. Not a handout. Just a loan. You've got it. Family helps family, right? I didn't answer. I looked at the plate in front of me. Empty. You didn't even save me a damn pancake, I said. They blinked. Confused. That's the problem. You forget me every time. But the moment you think I'm useful, I become family again. Mom's smile dropped. Daniel, don't be cruel. We just... No, I cut in. You want my money, not me. Let's not pretend. Michael stood. You've changed. No, I said. I stopped apologizing. I left the table, grabbed my coat. Olivia caught me at the door. You okay? Yeah, I said. But they're not gonna be. Not when I'm done. Because they hadn't just ignored me. They'd built a version of the world where I didn't matter. Now I was about to shatter it. I didn't leave right away. I stayed just long enough to make sure they'd regret every second of my visit. That afternoon, I took Olivia out for coffee. She deserved the truth. She already knew most of it. But not the part about the house. You bought Grandma's place? She whispered. I nodded. 6 months ago. Quiet deal. Title's in my name now. That house meant everything to the family. After Grandma died, no one could afford it. They let it sit, hoping someone would inherit it and turn it into a family retreat. They didn't know I already had. What are you going to do with it? Olivia asked. I sipped my coffee, changed the locks, then send them an invitation. Christmas dinner came and went. I didn't show. I sent a letter instead. Inside the envelope, a notarized copy of the property deed, a photo of the front door with a new smart lock, a small card that read, Merry Christmas. You lost the house the moment you lost me. The silence that followed was glorious. Mom called 6 times. I didn't answer. Michael left a voicemail, angry, shaky, desperate. You're just trying to humiliate us. After everything we did for you. Everything they did. They ignored me, mocked me, then tried to use me. Now I held the deed to the place they all thought they'd eventually inherit. They didn't see me coming, but they were going to remember me now. 2 days later, they showed up at my hotel. No call, no warning. I opened the door to see Michael, Samantha, and our parents standing in the hallway, faces tight and forced calm. We need to talk, Dad said. I stepped aside, not for politeness, for control. They filed in, all of them sitting while I remained standing. Michael spoke first. You blindsided us. That house was supposed to stay in the family. It still is, I said. Just not your side of it. Mom's voice cracked. Why are you doing this? I finally sat across from them. Because I want you to hear it. Not over voicemail, not through Olivia. From me. I paused. You erased me. For years. I was the backup child. The invisible one. You called me selfish when I left, lazy when I worked on things you didn't understand, a failure when I didn't play by your rules. Michael scoffed. You're bitter. I nodded. Yeah, and now I'm also rich, focused, and done pretending this family ever treated me fairly. I handed Dad an envelope. Inside, a legal document with one line highlighted. Property access is revoked for the following individuals. Their names, one by one. Samantha gasped. You're actually banning us? No, I said. I'm giving you a choice. They looked up. You can acknowledge what you did. Publicly. A letter to the family. An apology. Not just for me, but for the years you weaponized silence and favoritism. Or you can walk away and never speak to me again. And yes, I will enforce trespassing. Mom was pale. Michael was furious. Dad said nothing. I leaned back. You spent your lives acting like I didn't exist. Now you get to choose. Truth or exile. They didn't answer right away. Michael stood and stormed toward the door. You're insane. This isn't justice. It's a tantrum. You would know, I said. You've been throwing one your whole life. Samantha followed him out, muttering something about therapy and narcissism. That left my parents. Mom's hands were shaking as she folded the paper. You really think this fixes anything? I met her eyes. No, but it ends it. Dad finally spoke. You know we were hard on you, but you never made it easy to love you. That hit. Not because it hurt, because it was honest. I stood. Thanks for saying that. You didn't have to love me. You just had to respect me. And you didn't. They left quietly. 2 days later, I got an email. Subject line, "We're sorry." It was from Mom, but it was written like Dad dictated it. They admitted everything. Not just favoritism, but the way they'd let Michael walk over me. The way they turned a blind eye to every accomplishment that wasn't his. The years of silence. And at the bottom, "We want to earn a place in your life again, but we'll understand if that door stays closed." It wasn't perfect. It didn't undo anything. But it was a start. I printed it, filed it, kept it as proof. Not for them. For me. Because no matter what happened next, I'd already won. A week later, I drove back to Dayton alone. Not to visit. Not to forgive. I had paperwork to file. The house I bought, Grandma's old place, needed updates. New roof. Permits. Transfer of utilities. I wanted everything in order before spring. But being back in that neighborhood, seeing the cracked sidewalks and chain-link fences of my childhood, it stirred something. Not nostalgia. Strategy. I walked into the local credit union and asked for a notary. While I waited, I ran into Mrs. Wilkins, my 8th grade English teacher. She didn't recognize me until I spoke. "Daniel Cho?" I nodded. Her eyes widened. "You disappeared. We all thought." "Well, you never came back." "I had to build something worth coming back for," I said. Before I left, I posted one photo on Facebook, something I never did. A picture of the house. Fresh paint. New locks. Caption, "Sometimes the black sheep buys the entire pasture." Within an hour, Olivia texted, "You're going viral in the family group chat." I laughed. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Because what no one knew, not Michael, not my parents, not even Olivia, was that I had a second company forming. A foundation, named after the one person in the family who never treated me like a shadow, Grandma Lily. The Lily Foundation, focused on funding tech programs for underprivileged kids with nowhere to belong. I never got applause when I left, but I was about to create a stage where no one else would ever feel invisible again. The Lily Foundation launched quietly. No press, no flashy campaign. Just one mission: fund kids like me. Overlooked, underestimated, but burning with potential. By spring, we'd partnered with 2 schools. By summer, 5. And then one of the local news stations picked up the story. Tech millionaire returns to hometown to uplift forgotten youth. The headline wasn't the win. The win came 2 weeks later, in an envelope. It was hand-delivered to the foundation's P.O. box. No return address. Inside, a worn, yellowed notebook. Grandma Lily's handwriting on the first page. For Daniel. My hands shook as I turned the pages. Inside were letters, dozens of them, written every birthday, every holiday since I'd left home. She had been writing to me the entire time. One entry, dated 2 weeks before her passing, hit like a freight train. "I told your parents they'd regret letting you slip away. They said you'd come crawling back. I told them no, you'd fly. You always did like building wings." I read every page. Twice. She hadn't just believed in me. She knew what I'd become before I did. And she'd left something else. Tucked in the back pocket of the notebook, a key. Olivia helped me find what it unlocked. An old safe buried in the attic of Grandma's house. Inside, land deeds, bonds, and a legal document dated 5 years ago. A trust. In my name. She'd transferred ownership of 2 other properties quietly. Apartments she'd inherited decades ago. They were small, old, but fully paid off. And listed as future assets of the Lily Foundation. She built the seed. I just grew the tree. I stood on the porch of Grandma Lily's house one last time, my house now, as the ribbon-cutting ceremony wrapped. Kids from the local school were walking the halls of the new tech lab we'd opened inside the converted garage. No cameras, no suits, just laptops, circuit kits, and kids who saw their future for the first time. Michael didn't show. Neither did my parents. But Olivia came. She stood next to me with a quiet smile as I watched a boy about 12 power up his first build. "You really did it," she said. "We did," I corrected. Then I pulled a second envelope from my coat and handed it to her. "You're on the board now. Full voting rights." She froze. "Why me?" "Because you never made me beg to be seen." She teared up, but nodded. No words needed. Later that evening, I got a message from Dad. Short. Just a line. "We watched the news. We were wrong." No excuses. No pitch. Just a late confession. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My whole life, I thought I had to shout to be heard. Break to be noticed. Win to be worthy. But I was never invisible. I was just growing in silence. Now I had houses, companies, and a future. But more than that, I had something they never gave me. Peace. No strings. No apologies. No more proving. Because when the people who once ignored you are forced to reckon with what you've become, that's not revenge. That's freedom. The kind you build for yourself.